Golden State Warriors have now equaled the famous 95-96 Chicago Bulls record with 72 wins after a victory against San Antonio Spurs. Hassan Piker's joining me here. Jason's either at the zoo in San Diego or Magic Mountain or whatever he likes to do in his days off, basically. But I watched the game last night. Phenomenal game. It wasn't as high scoring as you expect. Both teams started a little slow. But one thing I do want to get to before I get into actually the facts around it is many people expected Steph Curry to kind of... Well, what happens, right, is Steph Curry's built this monster around him where you expect him to be draining these shots from 30, 40 deep. And when he doesn't do that, people often assume he's going to be ineffective. One thing I seen from Steph Curry yesterday, I think he had 37 points overall. He adjusted and he was more effective within the paint with those obvious, like, gravity-defying layups. Like, just
ridiculous drives out of no... It's like, it looked like pickup basketball for a second.
Exactly. And it was almost as if, like, he's proven that he doesn't have to simply be that majestic shooter from out wide. And the one thing that I noticed about him is specifically in the third quarter, he was able to obviously drive to the net, and then he picked up a steal, and then he laid out for an assist on Klay Thompson. And it's just those fast, I would say, transitions for him gave them a 12-0 run, which really took Golden State past it. But, like, people are talking about the record, right? And I understand it. But coming into this game, it was more of just a record to beat. Like, they hadn't beat San Antonio, who was their first regular season, since 1997. Was the last time they beat them in San Antonio. So there was so much weight going into this game. Of course, it's 1 and 2 seeds, but San Antonio, obviously no mugs. The game as a whole started off, as I said, a little bit slow, but I mean, for Golden State to come away and to equal that record and now have the chance to beat them against the Grizzlies, do you fancy their chances?
100%. It's you have cheat code Steph Curry in the game. You play Thompson. There's no way. I mean, they're gonna crush Grizzlies. They're gonna break a new record of the NBA. It's awesome. And these type of victories make the game more interesting overall for people like myself.
During the regular season.
What?
During the regular season, because I get a little tired out by how many games there is. That's just my honestness.
Oh my God, you're such a fucking soccer fan.
I'm such a Scot.
You're such a Scottish soccer fan. Whatever, they can keep up with it, which is awesome. But what I was going to say is that it's cool to see teams like Spurs and Warriors win because they play such great fundamental basketball for the most part. I mean, the defense was on point. And obviously, every time the Warriors make an offensive play, it looks ridiculous when Steph Curry's, and just like you said, the drives last night when he, I mean, every time he's contested, he's around 3 people, and Steph Curry's not exactly LeBron James athletically, but he still manages to toss up the ball and make it from the most ridiculous. I don't understand how.
Yeah, that's what he's adjusted his game to do that sort of, because he knows that people are going to try and nullify his outside shooting. Because I mean, we see how effective he was against OKC a few weeks back when they tried to they switched up their man 3 different times on him. We see one of the best defensive teams in the league, in the Spurs, try to nullify this as well. But he adjusts his game. That's why he is the MVP, because he's able to do things like this, still throw up 37 points when he had such a cold opening. And he's had, I would say, 3 or 4 not Steph Curry-esque games in the last few games. But the one thing about the Spurs as well is I think offensively they weren't putting it as together as you'd expect them. LaMarcus Aldridge had their high 24 points in the night. Tim Duncan was rested. Sure, Pop just wrote old again because you have to fill out the reason why your player didn't play sometimes. Jason tells me that Popovich just writes old instead of writing is there an injury or anything, but that's Popovich. But the one thing, I mean, I did feel a little bad for the Spurs, right? Because I think they're overlooked as a whole because of how good the Warriors are. I make the comparison that they're the Ronaldo to the Messi at the moment. They're playing very well. They're legendary. They've had their best season, regular season. They just lost their home record, but still a phenomenal season all around. But again, they're just trying to compete with a team that are just taking it to the next level, and I think we'll take it to the elite level.
I think the Spurs are not, I mean, I wouldn't say the Spurs are overlooked per se, but I feel like the reason why people don't appreciate the Spurs as much as they should, even when they're winning championships, is because, like I said, they play a very different style of basketball that no one else in the NBA does, where the ball is not in a single person's hand for longer than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They're dribbling, they're passing right, they're passing effectively, and they make the right shots. Yeah. Whereas in the NBA, I feel like it's usually sexier to watch that one superstar athlete really take over and crush it. And I feel like Warriors is interesting because they provide both both sides of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is where they play fundamental basketball, but then they also have superstar power.
Yeah, and I
where
think
Steph Curry could just take a 12-point lead and completely change the course of the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. But one person who somewhat was caught in the middle of both of it, well, the media likes to play it as if he's caught in the middle. Of course, Steve Kerr, where he was on that team for the Bulls, which set the record, and he actually quoted after the game saying that some of his squad may mutter explicitives under their breath, just joking around, because he was on that Bulls team and people were talking about, oh, has he really got that alternative motive? There's no way. He's wanting his team to achieve that greatness. But before the Spurs game, he obviously paid tribute to the fact that his players want to set that record, and they have done it. Even since I mentioned this at the start of the season, the consecutive game record, they wanted that. It made them better as a team. But when these games start to add up and fatigue starts to come into play, I was worried when they went on that rough patch, whether or not, specifically against the Celtics and against New Orleans, whether or not it was starting to take its toll on them, whether that pursuit of greatness was just too much for them. And then they bounce back again, and they come back with a 1-point
That's
win
where having a
against
younger
Memphis
team comes in handy, which is not something that the Spurs have.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that they definitely have over. But the Memphis game caused a little bit of controversy. I have mixed views on it. Lance Stevenson threw up a last-minute shot. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson contested the shot. Steph looked to make contact, and they're claiming, there's a lot of people out there claiming that it was the fact that Golden State are pursuing this record that kind of adjusted the referee's calls. Are like, don't give them it. Just let them have it.
That's a fact. Steph Curry gets great help right there. Curry gets great help.
I love the NBA's rig stories because there's so much. No. There's so much evidence pointing, literally, because there's so many cameras at the game, where there's so much evidence pointing directly at facts. Where you look at, I think it was the Lakers a couple years back with the controversial Kobe calls consistently when they were on top. It's just, it's a business in the end of the day. So I love it because I love conspiracy theories in general, and I feel like the NBA is just trying to sell some more Warriors jerseys. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, well, I think that with comments this year from Barkley and those saying that the NBA is unwatchable, and it's tough to differentiate between which games are going to be.
Is that why he was so excited with the
Villanova victory? Because I think he was just happy to see the passion that was going.
Oh, totally. But not related at all to how much money he probably had riding on it. He's like, I was going to sell my car.
I think so as well. I think that plays into it. But the thing with Barkley is that, for me, you're right. You're going to call me a Brit again here or a Scot, hopefully.
God.
There's Hassan. There's so many games, and I understand this. And because I come from an environment where I'm used to one-off games, where
are you going to go ahead and say there's too many goals as well? Why is there 98?
They need a goalkeeper. They need a goalkeeper. No, stop it. No, I'm not going to play into the fans anymore that are like, Francis always brings up soccer. You know my knowledge is gone. You know my basketball knowledge is now. It's coming close. Jay Rubin's up here. It's catching him.
Are you really? Because he's not here, you're going to go ahead and say something like your basketball knowledge is closer to Jason's?
He's at Magic Mountain or whatever he's doing. Either way, it was
pants.
Yeah, he's sniffing pants. Either way, it was end-to-end basketball. But again, I don't think both teams were at their best. But nonetheless, the Golden State Warriors proved why they are the number one team in the NBA at the moment. And hopefully they do set the record. I'm sure they will, but let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Where can they find you? Hassan the Hun on Twitter and
Instagram. Big Haas on Snapchat.
Nice.
Get at me.
Well, I'm only Snapchat more than anyone out there because I bring my dog into work, as you guys know from on set, and Haas likes to document my interactions with my dog. So check that out. And also Francis_Maxwell on Twitter. And at
TYT Sports. Franny Maxwell.
Franny Max. Franny Boy.
Franny Boy.